begin by welcoming back home one of Milwaukee's most creative and inspiring forces, former Milwaukee and Wisconsin poet laureate Dasha Kelly Hamilton. Her latest book, Alignment, brings together the voices of nearly 60 Wisconsin poets, each sharing their story and perspective. And of course, her production of Makin Cake, the documentary, was screened at the Milwaukee Film Festival in April, and she performed a production earlier this month at the Marcus Center. Dasha, welcome home. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Good to see you. It's been about, you said it's been about a year since you've been home. What have you been up to in that time?
A lot of it has been the re-entry of being home, and it's been glorious. Home has been great in terms of a soft place to land, a fertile place to plant these projects, and so it's always good to be in a good space.
Absolutely. So talking about Alignment, that's one of the projects I got to see, and I noticed that, it's the compilation of so many different poets from all around the state. And, thinking about some of the themes, I saw a lot of themes around like water, trauma, going back to I think the story about your brother, or one of the poems, and you mentioned, your brother. Just talk about how stories like that unite people from all around the state, from Milwaukee to, La Crosse, and just those stories bringing people together.
It was a really powerful experience for me to put this together, and this was an initiative from my tenure as a state poet laureate. And as a laureate, you put together community experiences that kind of reflect your relationship with the craft. And for me, I've always been a community poet. I've used poetry and poetry events as a way to bring people together, to give platforms to unexpected discussions. So when I have this statewide platform, and choosing what are all the things that I could possibly do, I wanted to center the voices of incarcerated writers. I've been a volunteer instructor in prisons for almost 20 years. And in putting together tours and talking to writing communities, it's not a community that's ever considered. And understandably so, we're not conditioned to think that way, to remember that those are people in those buildings. So it started from that initiative. So it was a project, and there was a website that we built, and you have this exchange happening back and forth between hundreds of poets for 2 years, and then I edited those pieces into an anthology. So to have all of these voices in one book, and I call my gentlemen my fellas. So to be able to reach out to my fellas and say, hey, we are all in a book. There are incarcerated writers, there are other poet laureates, there are professors, there are farmers, there are students, bankers. There are a few people who've written their first poem ever, and all put together. You have the same prompts, but of course our stories are going to be completely different. And this was an embodied celebration that we all live separate lives that are all glorious in their own ways.
This is one of your many works, right? Talk about Making Cake, right? This idea of recipes and bringing these ideas together. So talk about that, putting that together in, with the film festival, but also the performance at the Marcus Center.
I was able to do this show. I was invited to come do conversations throughout Sheboygan years ago. They said, we're ready for you to come to our community and help us talk about race. Okay, I'm coming. So I've always dug into creativity and art play as a way to suspend anxiousness, as a way to bring people into conversations that they don't know that they're ready to have. And so I went around town and I had these discussions. One was in a bakery, and I said, we can do this. Maybe we just have to serve everybody cake. Idea planted. I started researching, and as an artist, especially as a poet, you can always find a metaphor and a meaning in things, and everything has a story. And I researched that the ingredients of cake all tell stories of access and privilege. You had to be wealthy to have sugar. You had to have time to even be able to bake a cake. You had to have livestock to have the dairy. So bit by bit, in doing that research, I'm able to tell the story of all of the isms of America. So the show itself, I've been touring that now this is my 5th season, and was able to, along the way, make this documentary that explains the why of the show, but also gives a different way for people to engage in a conversation.
And speaking of, you have a book with you, Baker's Dozen, it looks like.
Yes.
Talk about that and what you have here.
Now, the thing about Baker's Dozen, there's no cake involved whatsoever. What's Cake about whatsoever? This was a novel that I wrote, and I have a friend that works in television, and this old friend from high school, and he says, you know, you should think about writing a movie. And I'm really grateful to be guided into things that I would have not necessarily considered for myself. Even pursuing this film, I had a mentor suggest that I try a documentary, and I've surrounded myself with people that helped me figure it out. And then with this novel, I was writing a film, but I turned it into a novel, which is my comfort zone. So this character stayed in my head for over 10 years. So I'm excited to introduce Shay Baker to the world. So it's really a story about family ties, it's a story about sensuality, and it's a story about recovering apologies.
You're back now, you're just about
Yeah.
settled. What else do you have going on?
A lot of it's going to be celebrating all of this harvest. So I've learned along the way that you can go and go and go and go, but I'm really training my muscle to celebrate and enjoy a lot of hard work and a lot of years of visioning, and to see these different projects come into the world.
All right, Dasha, thank you so much for joining us here on Black Nouveau.
Thank you.
And welcome back again.
Good to be home.